Core Concepts for Open Architecture AV Design. Chapter 4. Basic Site File Design. The learning objectives for this chapter are: describe the benefits of open architecture AV processing and how it relates to the Composer series of DSPs. Explain what a Composer site file is and what it's used for. Utilize the menus and commands in Composer to design a simple site file. Apply supermodule bundling to create cleaner designs. List the 3 stages of audio management and the types of processing that typically occur in each. Learn to locate a unit in a site file and understand its status. Recognize the difference between pushing and pulling site files. This chapter covers building basic site files as well as the layout and basic functions of Composer. A Composer site file is a proprietary binary file with the filename extension .symx used for storing DSP module and routing design data and metadata. Composer is the Windows open architecture application used to program Radius NX, Prism and Edge DSPs, Symetrix Dante Analog Input-Output expanders, and select third-party Dante endpoints. Composer is open architecture, meaning that choices of audio signal routings, DSP modules, and control signal processing are at the sole discretion of the programmer. This allows each system installed to perfectly match the requirements, as well as adapt and expand as the system evolves or functional needs change. In Composer, there are 7 top-level menus: File, Edit, View, Hardware, Tools, Window, and Help. The File menu contains the file management commands, print commands, recent file shortcuts, and the Settings Library File Manager. New creates a blank Composer site file. New, based on template file, launches a copy of a previously saved site file to use as starting point for a new design. Open launches a previously saved Composer site file. Close prompts to either save or abandon any changes to the current file, and in either case keeps Composer running. Save prompts for a name and location for storage of the currently open site file. Export has 2 sub-items: Remote Control XML file and Event Scheduler launch file. Export to Remote Control XML file exports an XML database of all assigned controller numbers for use with third-party control systems. Export to Event Scheduler launch file exports a configuration file that enables the event scheduler to run independently on networked computers. Settings Library File Manager opens the Settings Library Management window. Settings libraries contain snapshots of module controls and hardware units and can be stored as part of a Composer site or outside of Composer in a user-specified location. Exit prompts to save a site file, or not, and then closes the Composer application. The Edit menu contains many of Composer's most often used commands and tools. Cut, copy, paste, delete are standard Windows commands and function in Composer just as one would expect. Select All is used to select all the objects in the current view. Smart Select determines the selected wire behavior, normal for everything, no wires to exclude wires, and wires only to select wires exclusively. This example shows choosing first normal to select everything, then choosing no wires to exclude wires, and finally choosing wires only to lasso wires exclusively. Select Connected Wires highlights wires and wire segments directly connected to the currently selected wire or segment. Trace Signal Path Downstream highlights a signal path forward or downstream from a selected wire or wire segment, including signal through modules. Trace Signal Path Upstream follows the signal path backward or upstream, in the same manner. Being able to easily trace the exact path an audio signal takes as it moves through the signal flow is a useful troubleshooting tool. Relabel all downstream signals labels all downstream signals to match the labeling of the selected module, instead of having to relabel all of the labels manually. Relabel all upstream signals label all upstream signals to match the labeling of the selected module, instead of having to relabel all of the labels manually. Duplicate copies and pastes a replica of a selected hardware unit, wire, or DSP module in its settings. Save Unit Design Settings writes an entire DSP's parameters, or a DSP's module parameters to either the current site file or a separate settings library file. Load Unit Design Settings retrieves an entire DSP unit's design from a settings file library and applies those settings to the currently open site file. Copy Module Settings temporarily stores a DSP module's parameters so that they may be applied to an identical DSP module type. Paste Module Settings applies copied module settings to an identical DSP module type. Add Site Notes opens a freeform text box for site file comments. Once text has been saved, this option will read Edit Site Notes. Edit Legend opens a title block form which appears in the lower right corners of both the site view and the unit design views. Sheet size is used to select preset or custom screen and print sizes and orientations. Edit module label opens a dialog box for changing the default name of the selected DSP, control, or Dante Flow module, or for changing the previously edited names of these modules. Lock items fixes modules in place within a design. Items can also be unlocked with this feature. When locked items are selected, this menu item will read Unlock Items. Setup remote control opens a dialog to assign a remote control number to a selected module parameter. This can then be used for third-party external control and/or to control the selected parameter using W-Series, Arc Wall Panel, Arc Web, External Control Input, or Internal Control Signal. Auto-assign remote control numbers to selected controls assigns a module's selected controls to the next available remote control numbers. Module Properties opens the selected module's properties window, displaying module information and enabling changes of description, text color, and background color. The View menu manages the toolbars, palettes, and screen layouts of Composer. The toolbar displays graphical buttons for commonly used file, edit, hardware, and help menu functions. The status bar displays DSP percentage used, online-offline status, and the current control method, direct, local area, or wide area network IP. The meter bar displays analog input and output levels and the selected wire meter. The toolkit displays objects used to create sites and designs. The locator bar provides quick access to units, supermodules, and modules. Control screen bar provides quick access to control screens. Search bar allows the location of site file objects by text search. Browser is used to quickly navigate the site file. The online status shows online and offline status. Remote monitoring status shows the current state of remote monitoring connectivity. Properties displays and allows users to edit object properties. Bring module views to top brings all open modules to the foreground. Module views always on top, module views are always in the foreground. Zoom in expands objects in the site or design view to twice normal size. Normal returns the site or design view to normal zoom level. Normal is the default Composer setting. Zoom out reduces objects in the site or design view to half of normal size. For different operation modes, Save Quick Screen Layout saves the current Windows arrangement to a layout for later recall. Recall Quick Screen Layout recalls the last saved quick screen layout. Use Screen Layout Manager to store, recall, and edit multiple screen layouts. This option does not save the layout of control bars, only the windows within Composer such as the site and design views and module views. The hardware menu contains items that interact with the Symetrix DSPs. Hardware must be accessible for most of these items to function. Recall site in hardware reloads what was last archived on the hardware, discarding any operational changes. Set clock sets the clock for all connected units. Security sets hardware security options. To enable hardware security, select Security from the hardware menu. Check the Enable Password Control over Access to Hardware Features box. Enter an administrator access password, or set a user-level access password, then select OK. Flash All Units LEDs flashes the LEDs of all located units in the site file. Sync all I/O cards to hardware reports what I/O card is installed in the DSP and syncs the DSP module to the actual hardware. The card input or output modules are then available in the design view for that DSP. Upgrade firmware, hardware settings, upgrades firmware, and sets hardware settings. To upgrade a unit's firmware, select Auto Upgrade All Design Units button. All DSPs currently located in the design will be upgraded. All Dante Analog I/O Expanders firmware is upgraded individually. Simply right-click the Dante Analog I/O Expander in the site file, select Unit Properties, then select Upgrade Firmware. The System Manager has Design and Hardware tabs. From the Design tab, all design units are available to edit properties, enable, disable, or locate units on the network. These are units with a module currently in the site view. From the Hardware tab, all Symetrix hardware units on the network are available to edit properties, upgrade firmware, and match hardware to design units. These are all units that Composer can see on the network, not just ones with modules in the site file. Mute All Outputs executes a full system mute when online. When the system is muted, this button will say Unmute All Outputs. This mute includes all Dante outputs as well. Go Online, push design to hardware. Transfers the site file from the computer to hardware. Go Online, pull design from hardware. Transfers a copy of the archive site file from the hardware to the computer. If Sync to Changes is selected, and if the Composer version matches the firmware running on the hardware will be online with its currently running configuration, including any control changes that have been made in real time since the last push to archive. If Sync to Changes is not selected, or if the version of Composer does not match the current firmware running on the hardware, a copy of the last pushed archive file will be transferred from the hardware, but Composer will not go online. In order to go online, either push the site file or update the hardware to match the version of Composer, and then push the site file. Go offline disconnects the computer from the hardware. Compile design simulates pushing the design to hardware and checks for errors. Locate hardware opens the Locate Hardware window to match the site file units to physical units on the network. The Tools menu contains Composer's managers and more. Each manager configures a subsystem within Composer. Launch Event Scheduler launches the event scheduler to schedule presets for time-of-day recall. Launch Remote Terminal launches the Remote Terminal application for testing Ethernet-based control to and from Composer-based devices. The Network I/O Manager configures the Dante network audio buses. The Control Screen Manager displays all control screens in a design. Control screens can be created, edited, deleted, exported to SymView, and viewed from this manager. The Supermodule Library Manager shows the supermodules saved in the current site file. The supermodules can be imported, exported, renamed, deleted, and password protected from this library. The Remote Control Manager displays DSP parameters currently assigned to controller numbers and units in the RS-485 network. Symetrix arc wall panels can be added, removed, or edited from the Remote Control Manager. Analog control and control signals can also be managed by navigating to the appropriate tab across the top. Presets Manager opens the Preset Manager window. Presets are a collection of saved parameters in a given state, and Composer offers 1,000 preset locations. Presets can be recalled from arc wall panels, third-party control systems, or Composer. Using the Event Scheduler, presets can also be recalled by time and date. Dante Device User Library Manager opens the Dante Device User Library Manager window. The Dante Device User Library stores third-party devices, so you can add them to site files as if they were supported devices. New devices can be entered manually, or they can be discovered over the network. Wall Wizard allows users to construct video walls with Visionary Solutions decoders. Wall layouts up to 4x4 are supported, and up to 64 walls can be defined. Up to 64 preset layouts can be created for each video wall. Remote Monitoring Manager enables you to configure remote monitoring of all network devices in your site file. Generate Report creates reports which can be exported to RTF and text formats. Every aspect of a Composer design can be included in a report. Edit Mode enables or disables editing of the site view page, design view page, and control screens. No Diagonal Wires toggles the diagonal wire drawing feature on and off. Show Grid shows the 10-pixel editing grid. Snap to Grid snaps new objects and wires to the grid. Superimpose assigned controller numbers overlays the controller numbers assigned to DSP parameters in module views. Show Resolution warning for custom font symbols overlays an exclamation point on font symbols that will appear blurry or pixelated at the displayed size due to the symbol resolution. Relabeling propagates to downstream signals labels other downstream module labels along the signal path when editing those channel labels. Relabeling propagates to upstream signals labels other upstream module labels along the signal path when editing those channel labels. Analyze is a troubleshooting tool that shows when a short or an open input or output has been created in a design. Clear error symbols removes the text indicators placed into a design after using the Analyze tool. Application Preferences configures unique PC settings related to the operation of Composer. Site File Preferences configures settings that only affect a currently active site file. The window menu formats the way that open windows are displayed. Cascade displays the open windows in a card fan fashion. Tile displays open windows in a tiled fashion, attempting to display all open windows in the work area. Arrange Icons neatly organizes all minimized windows. The list of open windows lists all currently open windows so they can be accessed quickly. Windows manages all of the open windows and site files inside of Composer. The Help menu holds information about Composer and other Symetrix products, located in the Help Topics file. All technical information is located in the Help file where the answers to most questions can be found. This is the user manual for Composer and Symetrix products. Pressing Ctrl-Shift F1 at any time opens up the Help file as well. The Support menu provides access to the Technical Support webpage, Composer Online Training, which opens up the Composer Online Training webpage, and the forum where you can ask questions of Symetrix technical staff and other Symetrix users. Update Composer opens the Downloads page for Composer, and the latest software version is listed. Restore and Update Example Files updates the example site files folder and restores them to the default location in the Documents folder. Check for Updates checks the Symetrix website for a newer version of Composer. About Composer displays the application version number of the version of Composer being used. When Composer is opened, the Site View window can be seen. Site files are designed by dragging and dropping objects from the left-hand toolkit into the Site View area. The Site View screen is only for reference purposes. The only necessary objects are hardware units. All external devices, pictures, text, and wire connections are for documentation purposes only and do not make actual connections on the network or between real-world devices. Across the top of the site view window are the menu bar, toolbar, locator bar, control screen bar, and search bar. This ribbon remains the same in design view as it does in site view. The DSP gauge shows approximate DSP usage. When online, pressing F2 on the keyboard or clicking on the Mute All Outputs button executes a full system mute or unmute. The toolkit of the site view window contains all the available Symetrix hardware and third-party supported Dante devices for that version of Composer. To create a site, first add a Symetrix unit from the toolkit. Adding pictures of external devices, such as microphones or speakers, can help with organization of a site file. Right-clicking on a Symetrix unit and selecting Unit Properties displays parameters unique to that device, such as unit name and IP address. This IP address is only for unit identification within the site file. The hardware IP address cannot be changed from this window. To change the IP address of a Symetrix device, refer to the Network Port section in Chapter 2 that covers network connections. Double-clicking on a Symetrix unit in the site view opens the Design View screen for that unit. The Design View is where the DSP programming takes place. All classes of audio processing modules for signal shaping are provided in a toolkit. The toolkit includes, but is not limited to, mixers and gains. The mixers and gains section includes mono and stereo mixers, summers, matrix mixers, gains, trims, VCAs, inverters, and panners. The auto mixers menu includes both gain sharing and gating auto mixers. The combiners menus includes automix, standard, and BGM combiners. The room combiners specifically address difficult integration issues such as automatically linking control panels in combined spaces. The conferencing and paging menu contains echo reducers, dialers, and DTMF decoders to assist with the configuration and implementation of any type of conferencing or paging applications. A wide variety of equalizers are available in the EQs menu, including both flex and graphic equalizers. Mono and stereo feedback fighters are located in the feedback fighter menu. The filters menu contains a number of filters including crossovers, high pass, low pass, and FIR filters. Loudspeaker managers are available from the loudspeaker management menu. The loudspeaker managers combine EQ, specialty filters, and delay into a single module. The dynamics menu includes compressors, limiters, automatic gain control or AGC, expanders, gates, duckers, sound pressure level or SPL computers, de-essers, and multi-dynamics modules. Also in this menu are transient suppressors, which are useful in conferencing applications. The delays menu includes mono, dual mono, and stereo delay modules. Delay modules with shorter maximum interval provide finer adjustment than those with longer intervals. The speed of sound is temperature dependent, and you can enter the ambient temperature if you wish. An array of signal routers and source selectors are found in the routers and selectors menu. These include input, output, and priority selectors. This menu also includes switchers and matrix selectors. The toolkit also includes a menu of control modules. These modules are used to program both internal and external control signals. They are also used to send remote control signal to third-party supported Dante devices, and to send string commands over either RS-232 or network connections. To build a site file design, begin at the toolkit and add the desired DSP modules to the design view. Expand mixers and gains, then expand mono mixers, and drag a 4-input mono mixer into the design view. Next, expand dynamics, then expand compressor limiters and drag in a mono compressor limiter. Finally, expand EQs, then expand flex EQs mono, and drag in 8-band flex EQ into the design view. Next, start a wire by clicking on the module input or output node or right-click and choose Start Wire. Composer can draw up to 10 wires at a time. To do this, hold down a number button on the keyboard when selecting the nodes to be wired from. Use the 0 key to draw 10 wires at a time, or the A key to draw wires from every remaining input or output. Now the two modules are wired together, creating a signal path. Adjusting DSP module parameters is as simple as double-clicking on the module to open its module view. In this example, to drag the faders to adjust levels, double-click on the mono mixer module. To adjust DSP module properties, single-click on the module which opens its module properties panel. Properties such as background color, font color, and module label can be adjusted. Super modules are used to bundle multiple modules into one custom module, creating a cleaner design. To create a super module, expand the super module category in the toolkit and drag a new super module into the design view. A dialog box appears to name the super module and determine its number of inputs and outputs. Select OK, and the new super module appears in the design view. Double-click on the super module to drag new objects into it directly, or take existing programming in the design view, select it, and then cut and paste it into the super module. Edit input-output labels and determine if the wire nodes are for audio or control signals within the supermodule module properties panel. Supermodules can be saved by right-clicking and choosing Save in Supermodule Library. Once saved to the library, they can be exported, imported, and password protected. The Supermodule Library Manager is found under the Tools menu. Most audio systems can be broken down into 3 audio stages: input processing, mixing, and routing, or middle processing and output processing. These 3 stages can be bundled into supermodules to help organize the design view. Typical input processing may include EQ, downward expansion, AGC, and feedback control. Middle processing may include mixers, matrices, selectors, and distributors. Output processing often includes loudspeaker management modules with parametric EQ, filters, and delays, as well as limiting. The following is the process for locating Symetrix hardware in Composer. To locate a unit, click on its location status box to open the Locate Hardware dialog. Select the Refresh List button to ensure the hardware discovered is current. Now select a desired unit from the list and click the Locate to selected hardware. A green check in the Located status box indicates the unit in the site file has a physical match on the network. There are 2 methods of going online or connecting to the hardware: push and pull. Push sends programming from the computer to the hardware. Pull transfers programming from the hardware to the computer. Once hardware is located, select Go Online, save and push design to hardware, or select Go Online, pull design from hardware if the DSP already has programming loaded onto it. When returning to an installation at a later date without the original site file, or if unsure if it has been modified since last connected to, it is good practice to pull from the unit when going online. This will give the opportunity to synchronize Composer and go online with the current running programming on the DSP. The wizard guides the pull process. Choose the location to store the site file pulled from the hardware. Then choose to synchronize or abandon changes. Synchronize changes transfers parameter data currently running on the hardware, the day-to-day operational changes made by any user interfaces, and saves changes that have been made since the site file was archived. Abandon changes transfers the site file as it was archived, discarding any current parameter data. Composer is open architecture, meaning that choices of audio signal routings, DSP modules, and control signal processing are at the sole discretion of the programmer. Open architecture allows each system to perfectly match the requirements, adapt, and expand as the system evolves or functional needs change. A Composer site file is a binary file with the file extension .symx. Site files are used for storing DSP module and routing design data and metadata. Site files are designed by dragging and dropping objects from the toolkit onto the screen. The only necessary objects are hardware units. All external devices, pictures, text, and wire connections are only for documentation. Double-clicking on a Symetrix unit in the site view opens the design view screen for that unit. The design view is where the DSP programming takes place. Supermodules bundle multiple objects into one custom module, creating a cleaner design. Most audio systems can be broken down into 3 audio stages: input processing, mixing and routing, or middle processing, and output processing. Typical input processing may include EQ, downward expansion, AGC, and feedback control. Middle processing may include mixers, matrices, selectors, and distributors. Output processing often includes loudspeaker management modules with parametric EQ, filters, and delays, as well as limiting. To locate a unit, click on its location status box to open the Locate Hardware dialog. Green check in the Located status box indicates unit in site file has physical match on network. There are 2 methods of going online or connecting to the hardware: push and pull. Push sends programming from the computer to the hardware. Pull pulls programming from the hardware to the computer.